Hey guys, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about shooting a horsebow, because about a week ago I made a short video about two different draw types for shooting a horsebow, and this sparked a whole lot of questions that I'm going to be trying to be answering here today. First off, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the gear that I'm using. First off, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the shooting hand glove. This is a protecting glove for the shooting hand because, well, on cold days your skin gets a little bit extra sensitive, and especially if you're a novice, you will get some fletch bite. I'm going to be talking about how to avoid that, but some good protection never goes wrong. Second up, we have the Buck Trail thumb patch glove. See, it has a hole here for the thumb. I actually like this. I prefer this one to small leather patches because this one gives a little bit more protection on the outer sides, and I don't like using a thumb ring. It simply doesn't. I feel I have a more feeling with the arrow when I'm shooting this glove here, and more dexterity. So the real nice thing, the bow. This is a Grozer bio-composite bow. This is a Hungarian Grozer bow. This is 43 pounds at 28 inches. I draw about 30, 31. So I think it draws about 50 when I draw it to full. This is the long sear model. The short bow, but with long sears. Nice horn everywhere. So the bio-composite bows from Grozer is made with pressed sinew. See the outer layer of sinew. And we have a core of bamboo, and then we have pressed horn on the belly. Really nice performing bow. Almost zero hand shock, but really nice performing bow, and looks the part as well. This is also sinew here. And then we have the arrows, simple wooden arrows, pine arrows, 5-inch fletching, nothing special. Different spine, I think, also, but that's not really important right now. Now, there are lots of different types of bows you can shoot, and if you want a cheap bow to get going and try to see if horsebow archery is something for you, you can actually get the very cheap Archery. The fiberglass bows cost about $50 or something, perhaps 60. A great way to start out, low poundage, so you avoid some potential damage. So that's the gear, and perhaps onto some history. Right, so when I post stuff like horseback archery on social media, I often get quite a bit of old grumpy Americans, primarily, telling me that this is a wrong kind of archery and somebody should teach me how to shoot because I put the arrow on the right side. Nothing could be more wrong. Please keep an open mind when you browse archery, because there's more than one way to shoot, and this is the old Eastern way of shooting. This method, this basic overall method, has been used from southeastern Europe all the way out to the far reaches of Asia, and is well-renowned technique, and is primarily developed for horseback shooting. The reason for this is that when you use the right side and you use the thumb grip, you can tilt the bow without the arrow falling off. This is very, very useful when you ride. See, I can ride, the arrow doesn't go anywhere. If I use the other side, the arrow bounces around. Now, then I can put an arrow up here, a finger up here, but this will minimize free movement of the arrow, and it will change the trajectory once you fire it. So this is not ideal. I just put my arrows down. Now, I know of two basic ways to shoot a horsebow. I know the thumb draw, and I know the Slavic draw. The Slavic draw is easier to get into if you only have a regular shooting glove, because you use the same 3 fingers as when you shoot Mediterranean. You just put your index finger on the arrow, has the same effect, the arrow stays on. Right? No problem. I usually prefer the thumb draw method. depending on what gear. If I don't have this along with me, I'll switch to Slavic draw because I have my regular shooting glove. Somebody also mentions the knock point. I usually have the arrow declining a bit, because when I do that and I fire the arrow, it straightens up and clears the hand more easily. The katra also helps with this. And the katra thing is basically meant to minimize the effect that the bow has on the arrow, because if you just shoot it right, straight up, not right, straight up, the arrow will go a little bit to the right, depending on spine. But doing this, I can, to some extent, minimize the effect that the bow has on the arrow when shooting it. So the way I perform the katra is I apply pressure on the lower fingers. I push forward, just like I would shooting a normal bow, but then I apply pressure, sideways pressure here. So when I release the tension, it goes like that, creating the katra. I also have a tendency to have a bit of an incline. When I shoot. Do it your way. On longer Asian bows, the typical way is just the sideways katra, creating pressure with the fingers on the bow or creating a conscious rotation. I prefer the unconscious pressure. Right, let's shoot some. So, knock point, anchor point wise, you can use a high anchor point, you can use a low anchor point, and some people even draw at shoulder level. I prefer in the face somewhere because it's easier to replicate. And I don't do the overdraw very often because I want to have the expansion during the follow through. So when I go like here, I use my jaw line, then I have room for expansion. So keep in mind, I am not the best at this. There are loads of people out there who are way better at shooting horse bows than I am. I don't do this too often because I have a lot of bows and I get bored if I only shoot one or one style. But I do it occasionally and I enjoy it. So yeah, well, let's do it. So pressure here, the grip, come to anchor point, release. This is not a conscious movement, it's an effect of a pressure that I apply, and the moment I release the pressure, during the release, the bow does this. You can also see it. If I point straight at you, you can see the arrow is slightly bending because I have the inwards pressure and the forward pressure. You can see the arrow bending a little bit. It's just not a problem, it straightens up once I shoot. So do it again. Bad shot, concentrate. Once again, grip, pressure, grip here, and shoot. I'll move you over to the other side and get my arrows so you can see it from a different angle. Right, so here we have it from a different angle so you can see the release and the extension during the follow through. Do you see that motion here? That's the follow through. And still the katra comes from pressure, not as a conscious movement. I often see some people who shoot very, very consciously. So they shoot and about a second after they release, they do that to simulate katra. I don't think that's proper. Also, like I said before, you might see me snap shooting sometimes. That's because I try to get into this completely fluid, instinctive motion. The longer I keep at my anchor point, the more I have to fight the brain's tendency to aim and see the arrow and bow, and I don't want that. I want it to be instinctive. Go again. And you can see once I have this, I keep my anchor point a bit longer than I usually would, and the accuracy comes with it. So here we have 5 shots. You can see in the yellow and 1 in the red, and I think that's fairly good. These are all, I think, a little bit different spined arrows, and yeah, well, that'll do. So I hope this has inspired you to do some horseback archery, and go out, get a bow if you don't have one. Don't buy a very heavy one, because this is a new technique and you risk straining yourself, getting injured, because you are applying new techniques. So get a lighter one that you usually would, and then get a heavier one once you get used to it. And if you want to continue with horseback archery, you can also just shoot it Mediterranean style if you want. But yeah, I like the thumb draw and the Slavic. I like these different techniques. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this has inspired you to pick up a horsebow and start some horseback archery shooting. See you next time, and thanks for watching.